Hello everyone, welcome to the Peaceful Palette Art Lesson Series. I am Noelle Rollins. Today we are going to work with this basic set of colored pencils. We are going to continue on with this series of 4 skin swatch colors. In an earlier video, and you can go back and watch, we did fair skin and then an olive medium tone skin. Today we are going to work on a brown and deep brown. So how I like to do this is it's just with a basic pack of Crayola colored pencils. You can use drawing paper if you have it, or copy paper if you have that. I'm all about using whatever supplies you have and just really diving into the creativity of it all, finding enjoyment in the process. So I'm starting with a layer of brown here, just light pressure. When I'm working on a portrait, very rarely do I do these back and forth strokes like I'm doing here. This is mostly for time. These videos still got longer than I would like. And so I really just wanted to be able to show you the process. So again, very light pressure. And we're all about just doing light layers. I'm barely putting any pressure on the pencil. And we're just going to continue layer after layer. I will show these same skin tones done with professional colored pencil in my next video. The trade-off with using the Crayola or any basic colored pencils is there's a little bit more wax or binders in the color. And so you have to do a little bit more lighter, time-consuming layers. You're trading off the cost of the colored pencils up front, which professional ones can be a few dollars per pencil. And instead, you're putting in more time to achieve a very similar look, actually. You'll be amazed at how rich and full of beautiful layers these brown skin tones will be at the end. So we're doing orange now. I like to show the order so that you can easily recreate this. Or if you find yourself wondering what order it was, you can rewatch this video and go towards the end and pause it and just redo the same order that you'll see in little swatches on the side there. And I just picked 4 different skin tones here to somewhat bridge the gap from fair to deep brown. Really just wanting to celebrate and find the beauty in every single skin tone. And what you'll see is if you're ever working on a portrait, you can go in between these layers or these colors that I'm showing. These are not the only 4, but you'll understand more and more how to layer the different colors to achieve the different end results. So this is the darker of the 2 reds in the pack. When you're working with colored pencils, one of the keys is always having your colored pencil sharp, using light pressure, like I've said, and I'll show you on the next swatch when it's appropriate to use a little bit more pressure. And just having some patience. Really using this as a time to sit with yourself, to feel, to focus on pencil stroke after pencil stroke. It becomes very meditative and calming. You find your breath slowing down. Some of the background thinking can still take place, yet you're engaged in a very rewarding and calming process. And when you're layering all the colors, you really just have to trust the process here. There is some times where it'll start to feel a little too red, a little too yellow. And we balance those out. So when you become aware of the different colors on the color wheel, you can understand that if it's starting to become too bright red, we can come in with the opposite color with really light layer of green, and that'll somewhat neutralize that and deepen it, adding that contrasting tone to it. And we're going to show just a subtle difference in a lighter into a darker value here. I'm going to do a little bit darker on the upper left corner so you can really see. When you're doing a portrait, there's areas around the edge of the nose, the nostrils, around the eyes, the ears, any crevices, fingers, where you want the same color in general, but you want to show a deeper version of that color. So we're with the darker green now. And I'm doing just very light pressure. Greens and blues you want to use very carefully so they don't start to look bruised. But again, because they are the opposite of the oranges and the reds, it's a way you can come in and show shadowing and depth of color. When we were younger, sometimes we were taught to just layer black on something to make it look darker. But by playing with the opposite colors, it's sort of a hack that works really well. Now at the end of this, we're going to come in with some mineral spirits. And you can use either a cotton swab or a paintbrush. If you don't have mineral spirits, you can use rubbing alcohol. That's fine too. It doesn't work quite as well as mineral spirits, but it still will do about 75% of the job. And we're going to really blend these colors together and break down those binders so that it'll have this really rich blended tone to it. I love how it just really brings out the beautiful, rich skin color. So again, trust the process with me here. I know this is looking a little muddy right now. But we really want to show off all of those layers of color. Whether it's our hands or our arms or faces, there's all sorts of textures and colors to our skin. It's very rarely not a consistent color. So I really wanted to show how you can achieve the look of just a little bit of a range within the same color family. So again, for time's sake, I'm just kind of using a lot of back and forth scribbly motions that I really would never use in an actual portrait. But I want to make sure that I can show you, and for this example, it's fine. And really, even at the end, when we do the rubbing alcohol or the mineral spirits, you can't really see much of those pencil strokes. And we're doing light back and forth strokes simply so we don't crush the tooth of the paper. It allows there still to be texture to really keep picking up the color. And slowly we're filling in all of those little white specks. And it's adhering to the layers beneath it. So I'm putting just a slight amount more pressure here with the brown. And what I like about this is it still looks so much more rich than if we would have just simply come in with brown. And just like fairer skin tones can be more yellowish or reddish, I tend to have where I look sunburny red sometimes, even though I'm very fair. Brown skin tones can also have these beautiful range of coloring and tones to them. So maybe more red, yellow, green undertones, just a beautiful variety. So to really show that richness, we're coming back in with a little bit of orange here. And really just doing these final little bits here to make sure it looks how we like. And if you're copying a photo or you're achieving a very specific look, you can still use this process and stop when it fits what you need. If the way the lighting has a little bit different colors, this is a great time to add a little more red or a little more yellow, a little purple into that brown mixture. Coming in one more time with the blue. This is the dark navy blue. Little green. I just wanted to really emphasize that darker corner and show how you would show that shadowing. A little red. I think it's so fun, even if you're coloring with someone else in a coloring book, to be able to use these same methods and really up your coloring book game. So here I am with the mineral spirits. So I try to do nice even strokes at first to make sure everything was covered. And it's also a matter of, you'll start to see if you're, not sure if it'll show here in the video, but the color moves around a little. So it could very easily start to show all of my brush strokes there. So I had to kind of carefully make sure that it's not leaving those. And as it dries then, you can come back in if you need to add any other detail to it. Since I removed the binder, you can color another layer on top. So here we are again. We're going to repeat the process and pretty much go in the same order, but I'm going to show you how to just apply a little more pressure. We're going to bring a little bit of black tone in there. Really pull out all the hacks that we can to capture the beautiful deep brown skin tone. So again, just working to fill the entire square here. Just sharpening my pencil. And those small circular strokes there are more what I typically do on a portrait. It also can take 20 to 30 hours to do a really detailed portrait using all little tiny circular strokes like that. So I would say more than a right or wrong answer, you have to really gauge what your goal is. Is it time? You have 10 hours to work on something, 2 hours, versus the level of detail that'll help you capture the look that you want. Not everything needs to be a 30-hour portrait. There's a time for just simple sketching, and you just want to do these strokes just like I'm doing and get the color on there. That is totally fine. Don't let anybody art shame you into not doing things in a way that serves you. The important thing is just knowing why you're doing each type of stroke so that it can best help you meet your end result that you want, your goal. One way you can make this go a little quicker if you want to practice is do smaller squares. Practice in 1 by 1 inch squares, and that way you won't have to cover so much paper with each layer. So here I'm going with light to medium pressure with the yellow. I want to make sure not to compress the fibers, the tooth of the paper too much by pressing too hard. But so we don't have to do 50 layers of color. We're doing a little bit more pressure on each layer, so we can start to see the difference a little quicker for this deeper, rich, beautiful brown color. So now the same order as the last one, we're coming with the dark red. Just really working to just fill it all pretty uniformly. It's always so interesting how different it looks after each layer. So here we are with the dark blue. I'm using pretty light pressure here. And I'll start filling in this darker corner here, a little bit darker, so you can see how to build up a deeper tone. A little bit of how to do the shading. So often it's a mix of slightly bit, like a little bit more pressure, but mostly I like to use just more layers. But especially with this deep brown, it does come a point where pressure is what's needed. I just love seeing how each color layers right in there so nicely to build up the skin tone. So on this one I'm using light to medium pressure. So now with the dark green. Green is often, I've said this in the past video, but be careful with greens, because if you use too much pressure, especially on the lighter skin tones, greens and blues are important to mix into the skin tone, but if you use too much, it looks like bruising or strange discoloration. And so used correctly, always start off with less pressure and build up if you need it. Used correctly, it really balances out the reds. This green does. Kind of calms them down a little bit. Adds a little bit of a depth to them. I would love in the comments if you want to share, how do you see yourself using these techniques for drawing skin tones? Do you like to work on portraits? Do you have a specific portrait in mind that you want to work on? Do you just like drawing and you're curious about maybe venturing into working on portraits? Or is it just for fun? Coloring books, sketching? I'd love to hear. So now I'm coming in with the purple. It's kind of a bluish purple. And you'll notice I'm varying, while I am doing the straight back and forth scribble style pencil strokes, I'm trying to vary the direction. So it fills in the paper differently. As it does it, it blurs the layers underneath it just slightly, kind of melds all those microscopic, waxy pieces of colored pencil around and into each other a little bit more. So once you find yourself going through all the colors, then what I do is I start continuing on until I get to the desired result. So I'm going to add in a little more yellow, bring back that brownish yellow tone. Now we have the lighter red. I'm still using light to medium pressure here. You will see me soon come in with a deeper, darker, more firm pressure. Now again with the dark green. Pretty light pressure here. And keep in mind, depending on the skin tone that you are working to achieve or match, you may be about done here. Taking the mineral spirits right here, you can see the difference in the one next to it. This one definitely has more yellow undertones. Come in again with the blue. So the trick with this deeper brown color is we're going to start really putting some pressure on. With the professional colored pencils, you don't have to put as much pressure, and there's more choices of which colors to grab. You'll see that in the next videos. I'm going to do 2 videos doing this exact same thing, but with the Caran d'Ache Luminance pencils. But with these Crayola ones, now I'm coming in with medium pressure here with the brown. I'm really just going to layer in some brown here. It takes a little bit more to really build up that depth of color. It's hard to get the depth without just turning it shiny instantly. You don't want to push hard enough that it turns shiny. So here I am coming in with a paintbrush. You can use a paintbrush or a cotton swab and a little bit of mineral spirits. This is going to break down those binders in the colored pencils. And I'm going to lightly kind of blend them together a little bit. What it does is slightly, it's like an airbrush effect. Breaks down the binders, blurs things together, leaves it with this more saturated look to it. You'll notice sometimes the color kind of moves around with the brush, and so you want to just be really careful how you leave it. Try to go with the look. If it's around the nostril of the nose or something, go with the flow of the skin folds and highlights. I'm coming in with some black here. And this only is a technique for these deepest, darkest skin tones. Wanted to show how you would do that upper, darker part there. And you don't have to do this while the mineral spirit is still wet, but what it does is it kind of allows it to go on a little bit better because it instantly starts to dissolve the binders in the black. As you can see, it's also kind of moving around the colored pencils that are underneath it, which is not a great effect. So in real life, I'd probably wait like 15 minutes and then come back and do just these last couple layers once those binders are broken down and everything is ready to draw on again. But you really can see how just these last few layers, look at it now compared to the one on the left. It's definitely this beautiful rich brown tone. Here I did not add any more mineral spirits to the brush. I'm just coming in and sort of cleaning it up a little bit. And again with the black one more time. Again, the only places you'd want to use black is if it's around creases, age spots, things like that sometimes. But there you go. You can see two different types of deep brown with the basic colored pencils, layer by layer by layer. So I hope this helps you. Again, you can see those lighter skin tones if you want to go back and watch that video. And I hope you'll join me for the next video where we do the advanced colored pencil. That one is a little bit quicker. They go faster because you have more options. So I would love to show you the difference in how they look in the end and the process. I hope you have a really wonderful day. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.